Manangadan Yambe Devadan Deve Jadan Dembara George Dongaradan Dongara Jadang Ravara George Dongara Mebe Devadan Mandawa George Nyeren Jadan Yedang Darve Danyom Seme Bala Nebara George Saje Beje Zoje Medo Ran Rab Linje Nyede Jimban De Sanje Jen La Mede Purwa Yen Roge Namda Yen De Jubaraj Guzon Yunzo Lame Zo Nam La Senan San San De Yen Ye Jen Ju Da Le Long Ju Nan Se Yong Yi Lamin Choge Ngudop Zarde Zor Sanzer Wadan Chuchen Xiaoba Dang Jise Yaran Gorjen Sorwa Gewa Chonse Dage Jesa Ba Dam Jezo Be Sanjo Zer Ngong Guru Rina Mendala Benzamen Samendra Zawarena Samaye Aho You who are the perfect, beautiful body, whose flame of wisdom blazes and dispel the darkness of worldly ignorance, are posted before you in the press to Manjushiri. Yone Gele Jangwa Bo Yishe Rome Rabdem. Jidin the moment Sarwan Jambara Yang La Sanzer Do Dongge Duje Shaje Reisen Rong Yin Medo De Bonjom. Serje Lambo Dobro Jibe Ge Shaje Jarbe Jabla Gu Sanzer. Dongge De Romain Jie Dorjen Janjen De Lo Naro Damar Ba Mela Jije Gambo Pamu Zhiba Jirwan Di Gongbe Ga Ju Lama Nam La Zorwan De Jagarabin Hula Gaden Jebe Man Yune Galan De Rome Dada Lano Zembe Ganen Orjin Rambo Jela Zorwan De Romain Jije Yenje Bodang Ne De Som Sanje Genje Ngovo Nye Ransen Jige Ngozon Donze Sabe Lama Nam La Zorwan De. Good morning, everyone. Tashidele. Good evening. So we are in the Bardo Thödol, page 300, I think 99, 90, 89. So even though perceptions of excellent warm entrance may occur, do not become attached to this. The important is just not attached to even you have good perceptions. And if you don't have not that good perception, no hatred to that. So that's the important method. In the eversely, even though perceptions of a poor warm entrance may occur, do not fear aversion. The essential point of the profound and the genuine instruction is that, so these two things, no attached to and no aversion to, they bring to equanimity. You enter the womb is a state of great equanimity, utterly free from the chartamics of good and bad, acceptance and rejection, or attachment and aversion. So nevertheless, with the exception of certain persons who have experience of this equanimity, it's difficult for beings to sever themselves from the deep-seated and long-lasting disease of negative habitual tendencies. It's very hard to, actually no attach, no anger, aversion to this good perception, bad perceptions. The reason is because we have so long our negative karmic imprints. Therefore, if the disease remains unable to be free from attachment aversion in the above manner, such negative beings who are of the lowest capacity may seek refuge in the animal realms or similar kinds of inferior existences. So due to this negative karmic imprints very strong, and the disease wanted to take refuge to lower realms, go to wrong directions. So sometimes they take refuge to animal realms. So that means like going to take birth to animal realms. So we need to, reverse or block that entrance. So in order to contract this, again, calling to the disease by name, you should speak as follows. So the child of Buddha nature, or if you do not know how to choose a warm entrance and you are unable to give up your attachment, your aversion, then regardless of which of the above appearances arise, so good appearances or especially this, moral appearance, you call by name to three procedures, take in the Renuka. So with your head high. So normally, take animal realms, you have experience, your head is go to like forward, same as animal direction, animals no standing heads. Heads is go, forward. And so when you have the experience, you try to, standing, like same as a human being experience. Recognize that this is the intermediate state. Give up your attachment, your clinging to the friends, sons, and daughters, and relatives that you have left behind. Then, of course, we have to give up all our left behind attachment, especially this all the, sons, friends, daughter, whatever we left behind, we have to give up attachment to them. Then this attachment are not helpful to you, no. Enter into the blue light of the human realms. So we try to, this is short to the path to take birth to human being realms. Enter into the white light of the realm of the gods. So these two recommend if we take birth to samsara, then human being realms or gods realms. So human being, is blue light of the human realm, and then white light is God's realm. So we recommend take these two paths, either one. Enter into the mansions of precious jewels and the gardens of delight. So that's the, you have perceptions when you take birth to human being realms. Then you have this, precious jewels and gardens of delight. You see that, and if you go forward that, you take birth to human being realms, and also God realms. This introduction should be enunciated up to 7 times. Then one should pray to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, reciting the aspiration prayer, calling to Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas for existence. Then one should read alo up to 7 times. The aspiration prayer with the protects from fear of intermediate states, the root verses of the 6 intermediate states. So these prayers, then we should have to do it. And the next week I'm going to share these prayers, the 6 intermediate states and aspiration prayer, protect from fear of intermediate states. So these prayers I'm going to share next week. Then you have all these Herring liberation teachings. If we go into this 6 Bardo teaching, and you understand very clearly, easily, you can bring to very simple way, short form. Then and aspiration prayer, which rescue from the dangerous pathway of the intermediate states. So then one should also read alo clearly and with correct pronunciation, the liberation by wearing, natural liberation of the sexual physical aggregates. And you should also read a lot the spiritual practice, natural liberation of habitual tendencies. So this prayer is required to, allowly read to the and the disease. No, it's a conclusion. Thus, in summary, by acting correctly, yogins with a high realization will successfully effect the transference of consciousness at the moment of death. So it's death liberation. When yogi realizes when die, and the yogi is not die, yogi is liberating. And when they die is the same time liberation, death liberation. And being separate the necessary of having to wander through the intermediate states. Where attaining liberation in exciting and penetrating manner, setting other below these yogins in ability, who have achieved direct meditative experience will recognize inner readings of reality at the accumulation of the intermediate state of the time of death, and where. See, the higher level practitioners, Mahamudra practitioner, Dzogchen practitioner, they can liberate in the death Bardo. It's called liberation by, they achieve the direct meditative experience will recognize inner reading of reality, means realize the nature of mind when the death comes. Similarly, attain Buddhahood in ascending and care penetrating manner. So other below this, in accord with their inheritance of past actions and their particular level of ability. So level of ability, we have all this reality, Bardo. And then you have a level of ability, you can liberate the first day, second day, third day, all these 5 Buddha coming to each day. And then day 7, day 6, all the Buddhas come together. Day 7, all the Vijayadhara Buddha. So the point is day 1 to 5, day 1 to 6 is your heart chakra deity. Peaceful is deity is rising. Day 7, Vijayadhara, is called throat chakra deity is rising. And then day 8 to then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this 5 days is your brain chakra deity, wrathful deity is arising. So you have all opportunity, this each levels, particularly level of ability, where attain liberation at one moment or at another. During the respective wakes which follow the moment of death, as the vision of peaceful and wrathful deities gradually arise in the intermediate state of reality. Since there is a cessation of dangerous passageways, recognition will occur at an appropriate juncture during the intermediate state of reality, and the liberation will follows. So there's all the different levels you have ability to liberation. So we already mentioned that. It's very long instructions. Then, however, those who have very weak inheritance of positive past actions, those who are greatly clouded by negative obscuration, and those who are bounded by the most non-virtuous past actions, will be obliged to roam downwards into the intermediate state of rebirth. So then negative karma who don't have Mahamudra meditation, who don't have Yodam deity practice, they come into this Bardo of rebirth. Here as before, since there are different levels of introduction, so then we also give her so many different instructions, like the wrongs of a letter recognition will occur if not at one stage, then at another. So we give so many instructions here in this intermediate state of rebirth, and thereby liberation will follows. But if those just mentioned, you have a weak inheritance of positive past actions, do not achieve recognition, and are accordingly overcome by fear and terror. So if you didn't recognize in this, part of rebirth, so then we, sharing instruction is like block the warm birth. And if you cannot block the warm birth, then we tell them, showing the truth, like which birth is right birth. Then there is a graduate series of different forms of instruction for obstructing and for choosing the warm entrance. Thus, if recognition does not occur in the course of one such teaching, then this individual will be introduced to yet another instruction, and upon understanding the appropriate visualization techniques, they will achieve the inestimable bounty of the higher existence. If the then not liberation, but they can choose the higher liberation. Higher means like go to take birth, but human realms or God's realms. So then even if one is like a best, the lowest of the low, through the great generosity of taking refuge, even the lowest like means animal realms, that if they take refuge, so one will avoid birth and interior existences, and some are precious human bodies, so they can take birth to human being realms. So this means like I think in the even some animal die, if you have sharing some these instructions, the animals can take refuge in the Bardo, and because they're no longer to animal ram's body, they're just only conscious. Conscious is very clear, same as a human being, and they can still take refuge in the Bardo. If they take the refuge in the Bardo, they can free from lower realm to take higher realms, rebirth human beings, then into the life to come. So blessed with the benefit of freedom and favorable opportunities. Then in the lifetime come means like they can go gradually go to higher levels. So that's the reason we have like seeing liberation, eating liberation, touching liberation. This liberation practice blessings cannot liberate directly to enlightenment, but they give them to karmic imprint connections to take birth to higher realms, and then you have spiritual connections. Even long as you liberation connection take birth higher realms, you have spiritual connections. Long as you have spiritual connections, you go gradually higher and higher to liberation path. So that's the reason the liberation object also beneficial. Liberation means like you cannot liberate enlightenment, but you have karmic imprint seeds to see from here lower realm animal realms to can liberation to the human beings. Then human being you're not going to take birth like negative human being body. You have karmic imprint spiritual path. So that's why gradually you can free from samsara. One will meet a spiritual teacher or spiritual friend, and one will receive the teachings, and thereby liberation will follow. These sacred teachings, then when encountered in the intermediate state of rebirth, is an oral instruction that connect the disease with the residual inheritance of virtues past actions. This is why it is said to resemble a connecting thread which reestablishes continuity when inserted into a broken water channel. Therefore, based on the veracity of this method, it is impossible not to be liberated upon hearing this teaching, even for those of the greater negativities. So what I mentioned, the point is, long as you have this hearing liberation teachings, is hearing liberation teaching means liberation. Liberation means like you can already karmic imprint connections. So this helps us like go gradually like higher level path, because future life also you get even liberate in the Bardo, your future life connect to the spiritual path. So that's the reason this never never go to wrong directions. So then, long as you have devotions, you have this instruction teachings. This is because during this intermediate state, both compassion invitation of all the peaceful and wrathful conquerors, and the invitation of the manifestation of malevolent and obstacle-causing forces arise simultaneously. As this occurs merely by hearing the secret teaching, the mode of perception of the disease is transformed into liberation, is thereby attained. So you see, in the Bardo, we have these two things, like negative invitation you also have a positive, this deity's invitation you have. And then, long as you have these instructions, you go to right directions, right path, and you go to the spiritual, deity's invitation direction. You can take that path. So that's the reason this, never go wrong directions. Important is our devotion. So then further, this transformation is easy to effect because the disease possess as a subtle mental body and not a body of flesh and blood. The disease continue to see and hear with a subtle supernormal cognitive ability. The disease has this, clairvoyance, based on the potency of past actions. However far he or she has wandered into the intermediate state, thus by substanding mindfulness of the teaching, the disease is capable of transforming his or her perception in instant. This is why the reminder of the teaching is extremely beneficial. Its impact is like that of a capacity machine. In other words, it resembles the way in which a huge tree trunk, incapable of being fitted by hundreds, he can be easily straight wherever one wants a moment when it is floated in water. So the disease, just the point is very easy to shift the mind, wherever focusing, they can go directly easily go that directions. So this actually already we share information. So this is just very summary. So in essence, the impact of hearing this deterring resembles the turning of a horse by its bridle. In essence, the impact of hearing this doctrine example the turning of a horse by its bridle. So we, turning you drive the car, same as like you have wheels. You turning the wheel, which direction car go that directions. Same is like this disease very easy to change the mind. All those who have died should be approached in the manner here described. If the corpse is present, then a friend should sit close to it and repeatedly read aloud this sizing reminder. So then this how to giving to disease, like we stay in the front of the corpse, read this hearing liberation. This reading should continue to last until blood and serum emerge from the nostril of the disease, and until then the corpse must not be disturbed. So this is the sound of like if you do this practice for disease, so then this is like the corpse actually coming from this, from the corpse coming from the nose, like air coming from the nose, come this, the manner. So corpse, what is called the hearing this doctrine, turning of a horse by, this should approach the manner of describe. Turning of a horse as a sense of the impact hearing this doctrine. Where is okay? Reading should continue to last until blood is serum emerge from the nostril. So this comes out from the nose. Then that means this really affected, beneficial to the disease. Until then, the corpse must not be disturbed. So the commitment which related to this practice are as follows. No living creature should be cared in dedication to the dead person. Didn't do any negative karma for the disease. It's the peace like haramane, and no harming for others. If harming for others to dedicating is harm for the disease. Relatives and friends, whether oneself or others, should not cry, should mourn or were in the presence of the corpses, especially in the front of corpse, no cry during the practice. When you share this instruction, no one be in the room, no one cry inside there. And instead should engage in us in such much various activity as possible. So further, it would be extremely beneficial if this sacred teaching of great liberation by hearing in the intermediate state is recited as a complement to other system of meditative guidance, respectively of the category of the sacred teaching to which they belong. Further, this text should be recited constantly. Its words and meaning should be learned by heart. Then one's heart permits. Then the one's own sight of the intermediate state of the time of death becomes certain, and the signs of approach death are recognized. So recognize when the person is ready to die, and then we have to read these instructions. One should read this text aloud to oneself and reflect on its words and meaning. So when you read, you have to remember the meaning. If one is hurt, does not allow this, then entrust the book to a fellow Buddhist for him or her to read aloud. The remember thus being meet, there is no doubt that liberation will accordingly be attained. This teaching, which does not necessarily require prayer or meditation practice, is the profound instruction which liberation by being heard and liberation by being read aloud. This profound instruction is one which can lead even those of the great negativity on the direct path to liberation. Ensure that its words and meaning are written in the memory such that they are not forgotten, even if one were to be choose by serving ferocious doors. This is a pit instruction for the attainment of Buddhahood at the time of death. This, some instruction, this one, we have to really make sure, understanding clearly, and you remember. So when you have scared, fears, you have to recognize, remember. So it's mentioned like 7 dogs chasing you, means like that's danger, and that means you have very scared, fears. In that moment, you forget other everything. But here mentioned, you meditate practice, like this instruction, you really clearly your mind, you can remember even you have scared. So that kind of if you familiarity, habituate is the best. So then, even if all this Buddha of past, present, in the future were searched, they should not find a sacred teaching superior to this. This complete the instruction on the intermediate state, which liberation corporeal beings. The profound, refined essence is enter the great liberation by hearing in the intermediate state. It was brought forth from the mountain of Gampotar by the accomplished master Karma Lingpa as precious treasure Mangalam. So this Karma Lingpa discovered this text from the Gampotar, the region there. Is hidden text come from Pema Sambhava, and then he discovered this teaching from that space. So now we're going to the transmission, so we have to go fast, and still we have lots in this transmission. So please do the recording the same yesterday. So we have to join together these two, yesterday and today, this transmission. The reasons I try to read the letter slowly, and we can make recording together. So next time you can have not live in the YouTube, just recording only. I mentioned yesterday. I think where's the debit goes?
So you want us to stop the live stream and push record? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think yesterday did that.
okay.